The search for America's best cake decorators is on.
The quarter sheet cake I'm decorating today is kind of paying homage to where I live. We're the land of 10,000 lakes and fishing and water sports, and we enjoy a lot of outdoor activities. So I kind of wanted to do something a little bit more playful. A fish just kind of came to mind, so I wanted to do kind of a mounted fish on a wood board. And this is a little plaque that's going to go on top of the cake that's going to have kind of a wood grain effect on it, because dead fish usually are on pieces of wood. So there's a couple ways you can do wood graining. They have wood graining tools that kind of add knots to it.
For the quarter sheet cake competition, I'll be doing a cutout of a dragon. What will set my quarter sheet apart from anybody else's is that the technique I use to cut out the cake and give the illusion of a three-dimensional object. I selected this versus piping on a quarter sheet to show people how easy it is. Cutting away the cake to make something three-dimensional has become a really popular custom cake to order from our bakery.
The quarter sheet, I'm going to cut it out into a shape of a whale, and then I'm going to put it on another board and decorate the background of the board also. Kind of round it out just a little bit more realistic. Our frosting is very light. It gets very airy very fast as you're decorating. I'm trying to get as little overspray as possible, but it's hard when you're doing white on black or black on white. There is a trick for a lot of people. What they do is they put paper down and then they pick up the paper when it's done. But our icing is so soft it wouldn't work. It would just come up and you could tell that something was wrong.
The quarter sheet cake is going to be a shirt in a box, and there's going to be a tie, and it's a cake that you would give your dad for Father's Day. I'm going to be making a fondant covered cake. So first I'm going to put some buttercream on this cake. The most difficult part is going to be making sure that the fondant is dry enough that I can put it around the cake as a box, but I think that's going to make it harder to roll. The inspiration came from me not wanting a typical sheet cake, because when you think of sheet cake, you just think of just piped borders and roses. So I just wanted to make something that's really different.
The temperature in here is quite warm, and it's affecting how smooth you can get the buttercream. You just kind of have to deal with it. There are many possibilities to cutting away a quarter sheet, a half sheet, full sheet. It gives the illusion that your cake is 2D, 3D, and still gives the customer exactly what they're looking for. What I'm doing right now is I take a clean towel to give him his reptile skin. Kind of gives the illusion that he's got wrinkles and leather-like skin, and adding some different color. I decided to go with an orange and red highlight to kind of give him a sense of happiness. So he looked happy.
I'm making the eye. I'm just adding glitter for where the teeth are going to be. I could wipe it off, but it kind of turns color, so a lot of times I'll just cut it out and then put it on another board. When people get shaped cakes, I do decorate the background sometimes. They want it decorated. It does add to the time to have frosting on the background, but it looks much nicer to have a background, especially if it's like a dolphin or a whale. Then I can do waves and a background scene.
A couple of techniques that I'm going to be using on this cake are a little bit of sculpting ability. I'm going to do a little bit of airbrushing again. There's some minor piping and just some simple work on fondant and angling airbrush color and stuff to make it a little bit more fluid. I love making fish. It's so awkward, but it's my thing. I just think, it kind of makes people giggle a little bit when you can put a fish on a cake that's not really a fish, but it's edible and it's sugar.
I like to spray backwards when I do the water. The light from the sunset sometimes comes on the water. Just taking off the edge, then I'm going to put a border on it. I could have put it on a bigger board to give more of a background, but I'm trying to focus on the cake itself. So I put it on the smaller board, but it gives you an idea of what can be done. I like trying to use every piece of the cake that I can so that whoever's getting a cake actually gets the whole cake. If at all possible, we use all the cake. I love puzzles, so putting it all together and trying to use as much, that's fun for me.
This is going to be the box. You know, when you buy a box shirt, it comes in a box. So this is going to be the outside. I'm spending way too much time doing this, but I just want it to look good. I mean, after the last challenge, I don't want to be too slow because time flies. The border was really hard to roll out because I needed the dough to be really stiff, and they were long pieces, so it just took a long time to roll out. I feel like I'm behind time. I spent way too much time making those strips for the boxes, so I'm gonna have to hurry.
You know, almost all the techniques I've learned, you know, with the exception of some stuff that I learned in classes, it's all trial and error, you know. There's no like real right way or wrong way of doing things, obviously. So I made a lot of fish. I mean, we're in the land of 10,000 lakes. I'm feeling really good about this challenge. It's a little bit less stressful, and I don't think that I bit off too much on this one. I'm kind of plugging away, and I think that I might finish on time. You know, I think that, you know, something that might wow the judges, that it's something very clean and simple. Sometimes they say there's over-decoratoritis, you know, where we decorate too much on things.
I'm just adding a little black to give a little bit more dimension around where the scales meet him. These are his wings. So I'm airbrushing them and trying to put as little color on him as possible because it's rice paper and it curls. I'm gonna add this. This will be the final touch. So his scales have slid off the cake. It's due to the heat, humidity, as the scales slid off the cake. I had to reapply the scales and airbrush again. I'm gonna go back in and airbrush to cover up any mistakes.
I have a little extra time, so I'm just adding a little something to it. The board behind it, it adds a lot because then there's like a scene, and it's not just the whale that you see, it's the scene behind it, and there's like a story that it kind of tells, so it does definitely add to the cake, and it has a place that you can put writing on also.
Smooth that out to the sides. Making this color on this shirt is difficult because I have to imagine what a collar really looks like. Otherwise, if I make it too small, it's gonna not look like a shirt, and if I make it too big, it's gonna overpower the cake. I'm trying to imagine what a collar looks like in real life so that I can fold it over and have a real looking collar. I'm really surprised at how much more time I need because it just goes by so fast.
I'm a little obsessed with painter's tape. I'm gonna use it so I can make half the bobber red. People often wonder when I go places why I'm like multiple colors. It's because I spill airbrush color on me all the time. I would like to add maybe some ripples in the water, some bubbles, and a little bit of glitter, and you know, a little bit of, I don't know, flair to it. If it's not flared enough, but I just want to add a little bit more to it. I'm going to try to add some letters with a tappet. This is why they call them tappets. You're supposed to smack them on the table and they're supposed to pop out, and they randomly pop out everywhere. How many more letters do I have to do?
There goes the last piece of fondant, and it's so much easier now that it's dry. I could never do this if it was wet. I'm done! Yay! I really liked the shirt cake. I think it was nice and clean and it came out really cute. So I really like the color scheme of this cake because the red, it really offsets the blue, and I think it's just a great color combination.
This is my finished quarter sheet for the quarter sheet cake challenge. I think the only concern I had with the quarter sheet cake was making sure I had the shape correct. I would not have done anything different. I had no problem whatsoever being done within the time allotted.
I'm hoping the shape of the cake will really impress the judges and that I kind of did it freestyle. I just tried to use as much of the cake as I could.
You know, I think all the techniques in this challenge kind of mesh together. There's not one that stands out more than the other one. You know, if I had to do a different approach, I might have iced it a little bit different or did a little bit cleaner sides on it, you know, but I'm actually quite happy with the way that it turned out. And there you go.